Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the March Hella Handmade Creations. If you don't know what Hella Handmade Creations is, every month a bunch of different indie makers get together and they contribute one product to one website. Most of them are polishes, and then I do have one wax to share with you typically every month. This site always goes on sale the 14th to the 21st of every month, so this one will start on March 14th and these polishes will be available until March 21st. They will only be available on the Hella Handmade Creations site. I will link that in the description box, as well as the Hella Handmade Creations Instagram page and my Instagram, where you can see more swatches of everything from today's video. These are also exclusive to that weekend. You won't be able to purchase them unless they are brought back for some reason. We all know how I like to ramble, but I do have 29 products to get through today, so let's go ahead and get started. So for starters, the gift with purchase this month is the Stay Stoked 5 free top coat from under A Hula Moon. This will come with your purchase, free of purchase. If you spend $75 or more, there's no code, there's nothing you need to add to your cart that's extra. It just comes if you spend $75 or more. I did use this top coat on all of today's swatches, so it does leave your manicure nice and glossy. It says it's not fast drying, but I haven't had any issues with it drying slowly or anything, so it is a good top coat. So that first thing is the Stay Stoked 5 free top coat from under A Hula Moon. So up next from Bee's Knees Lacquers, we have I Always Slay It Queen. This is inspired by Rick and Morty, and it's described as a hot pink polish with a golden green to pink shimmer. This will retail for $12 and there is no cap. So the formula on this is very smooth and easy to apply. It did take me 3 coats to build up to opacity. If you're not super picky, you could probably get away with 2. The shimmer that's in here is very strong, very apparent on the nail. I did have some brush strokes through this when it was wet. Those did go away as it dried. I also had some pretty unmixed pigment spots you'll see in my bottle shot of the neon pink that's in here that didn't affect application whatsoever. You will want top coat for this because it does dry on the dull side, but nothing is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of I Always Slay It Queen and a glossy top coat. Up next from Blush Lacquers, we have Regina George is Flawless. This is inspired by Mean Girls, and it's described as a muted blush nail polish with a shifting pink to orange shimmer, holographic microflakes, and small holographic glitters. This will retail for $13 and there is no cap. Happy to report another beautiful formula from Blush Lacquers. This goes on so smoothly. It does take 3 coats to build up to opacity, but you're working with a delicate shade in the first place, but also delicate elements. So if you want those elements to stand out, especially the shifty shimmer, it does have to be in a little bit more of a sheared out base. The holographic bits that are in here stand out nice. They do dry on the little bit of a textured side, so you will want top coat for that reason, and it is going to take some scrubbing to remove those. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Regina George is Flawless and a glossy top coat. Next up from Chirality, we have Unchained. This is inspired by the Tarantino effect, and it's described as a burgundy polish with an intense shimmer and red to gold ultra chrome chameleon flakies. This will retail for $12 and there is no cap. So this is a really beautiful, rich, deep, vampy shade. I got this one opaque in 3 coats. It did have a smooth, easy to work with formula, and if you're not picky, you could probably get away with this in 2. This is going to dry down dull, so you'll definitely want top coat for that reason, and some of these larger flakes can create a bit of a texture, so the top coat will also help to hide that. Nothing in this polish is going to be difficult to remove, so in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Unchained and a glossy top coat. Up next from Deeva, we have Myrtle Snow. This is inspired by American Horror Story, and it's described as a gorgeous deep red base with lots of unicorn pea that brings a flare of fire running throughout the polish. This one will retail for $17 and there is no cap. I am sure by now you guys know that I do love me a good Deeva polish. I love seeing shifty shimmers. The original unicorn pea, she does it so well and she does it so often, and they are so beautiful, and this one is no exception. On the nails, it's super shifty. You don't have to work to get that shimmer to stand out. Very, very beautiful. It dries pretty glossy on its own. I would recommend a top coat for longevity purposes, but nothing's going to dry dull, textured, or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Myrtle Snow and a glossy top coat. Up next from Esmaltes da Kelly, we have Joker. This is inspired by the movie The Joker, and it's described as a clear base with matte glitter in red, yellow, black, turquoise, blue, orange, white, in various sizes and formats. This will retail for $10.50, and there is a cap of 100 bottles available. I love the hell out of this. This is so fun, so party worthy, so beautiful. I want to see this in a Chirality base. I want to see this in every possible way. I really like this glitter mix. This has a good formula. I did 3 coats to build up to opacity. You could definitely also use this as a topper, which I plan on doing. But I did love how this looked on its own. I did 3 coats to build this one up to opacity. If you wanted to get to opacity faster and didn't want to build up 3 coats, you could sponge this on. I don't like doing that, so I don't do that, but it does build up well in 3 coats. This is going to dry with some extreme texture. You're going to want a thicker glitter eating glossy top coat to smooth this out. I do recommend the Marvel Liquid Macro top coat to smooth out my glitters. Otherwise, if you don't use a thicker top coat, you might need 2 coats of it. All that being said, this is going to be extremely difficult to remove. So worth the manicure, so beautiful. Love this one, a standout this month for me for sure. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Joker and a glossy top coat. Up next from Enchanted Polish, we have Let It Be. This is inspired by the Beatles, and it's described as a deep raspberry red to gold color shift with gold holographic micro glitter and a light dusting of holographic pigment. This will retail for $16, and there is no cap. This one is also very beautifully, richly pigmented, a gorgeous formula. I did 2 coats for this. Depending on your application, you might want to go in for a 3rd. Very smooth and easy to apply. These little scattered gold holographic bits in here look like starry little bits, and they're so beautiful. Even though this has those small little gold glitters, it wasn't textured and it wasn't difficult to remove. It does dry a little bit on the dull side though, so you still do want to go ahead and apply a top coat. In my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Let It Be and a glossy top coat. Next up from Fancy Gloss, we have Tiana. This is inspired by Disney princesses, and it's described as a light green base with gold iridescent glitters and green to blue to gold flakes. This one will retail for $11, and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. So the formula on this one is a little bit on the thicker side. You do kind of want to be mindful to try to work in as thin a coats as possible. If you work too thickly, these flakes and glitters can kind of jam up together and create unnecessary texture. And with it having a thicker formula, just be mindful that you do need to try to work in a little bit thinner of coats. That being said, it's not difficult to work with whatsoever. You get a ton of this glitter and a ton of these flakes out without having to do any kind of swirling, holding the bottle upside down, anything special, no fishing, anything like that. This is going to dry with some pretty extreme texture already, so you will want a thicker glitter eating glossy top coat to smooth this out, and removal is going to be difficult. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Tiana and a glossy top coat. Next up from Femme Fatale, we have Cotton Candy Sprinkles. This is inspired by candy, and it's described as a beautifully pale sheer blue base with a red duochrome and a green to red aurora shimmer. There are also pale pink matte glitters and silver holographic micro glitters. This will retail for $14, and there is no cap. This was another standout for me this month. This is so stunning and so original. I really like this. It does have a very smooth and easy to work with formula. I did 3 coats for opacity. You might be able to get away with 2 if you work a little bit thicker, if your nails are a little bit shorter, but I do recommend doing that 3rd. You are going to build up that glitter, and it's going to look so beautiful and speckled and lovely. The shimmer that's in here is nice and shifty, nice and strong. Everything works together really beautifully. You are going to have some texture from this because of the glitter, and it is going to be a little bit difficult to remove, but I will say it doesn't feel like you're applying a glitter. I don't know what kind of glitter this is, but it applies really smoothly and very easily. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Cotton Candy Sprinkles and a glossy top coat. Next up from Heather's Hues, we have Who Wants Some Bangers and Mash. This is inspired by The Office, and it's described as a shamrock green filled with a green to gold shimmer, a linear hollow, copper hollow glitters, gold hollow micro shreds, and a smidgen of peridot and turquoise metallic micro flakes. This will retail for $12, and there's a cap of 120 bottles available. I have a super soft spot for green polishes, and this is such a perfect polish for St. Patrick's Day. It's very appropriate for this month. This has a very good formula. It took 2 coats to build up to opacity. It had no running, pooling, or staining. Very smooth and easy to apply. It is going to dry dull, so you will want top coat, but nothing's going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Who Wants Some Bangers and Mash and a glossy top coat. Up next from Lilypad Lacquer, we have Pepe. This is inspired by Looney Tunes, and it's described as a scattered black hollow with white sparks. This will retail for $14, and there is no cap. The formula on this is very smooth. I did 2 coats to build up to opacity. Depending on your application, you might need 3, but I don't think that's super likely. This one does say it has a black base, but I did notice as I was applying it, it kind of leaned more on the plummy purple side, and I think that's really beautiful, really original with these white sparks. It does kind of, as a full manicure, as it's built up, lean in the gunmetal direction because of the white flakes that are in here, and it's just stunning. You will want top coat to bring some shine to this because it does dry on the dull side, but nothing is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Pepe and a glossy top coat. Up next from Lollipop Posse Lacquer, we have the Blossoms. This is inspired by Destruction of Neil Gaiman's Delight and the start of her transition to Delirium, and it's described as a pale petal pink shimmer filled with purple to blue shifting iridescent flakes. This will retail for $12, and there's a cap of 125 bottles available. Beautifully delicate and dainty polish, very stunning. This is not something that I had expected to see from Lollipop. When I opened my package, I kind of just assumed it was going to be like a darker polish with some flakes mixed into it, and I was pleasantly surprised. This is really, really gorgeous. Formula is smooth. I didn't have any kind of running, pooling, or staining with this one. I did 3 coats for this, and I got mostly opaque, but I could still make out my nail line if I was looking for it. This does dry on the dull side, so you will want top coat for that reason, but nothing's going to dry super textured. Some of these flakes can create the slightest bit of texture if they're the larger ones, but it's not going to dry to like that sandy textured polish texture. And nothing in this is going to be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of the Blossoms and a glossy top coat. Up next from LynB Designs, we have Hash Brown No Filter. This is inspired by the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and it's described as an indigo to tan thermal filled to the brim with blue to green to gold shifting shimmers and the tiniest of hollow flakes. This will retail for $12, and there's a cap of 90 bottles available. So I really like these thermals that go to like the nudes, the tans, the beiges. I think they're really, really gorgeous. The flakes that are in here are stunning. I had no issues with it transitioning. I did 3 coats for opacity. You are going to want top coat, but nothing is going to be difficult to remove. And some of the larger flakes that are in here do take some manipulation to spread out evenly across the nail, and this is going to dry it dull. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Hash Brown No Filter and a glossy top coat. Up next from Music City Beauty, we have Barbie Girl. This is inspired by One Hit Wonders, and it's described as a light blue hollow with a strong pink shimmer. This will retail for $11.50, and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. This has a really smooth formula. I got it completely opaque in 3 coats. In certain lightings, the pink shimmer does shift to this like peachy orange kind of color. Really, really beautiful, really original in my collection. And that shimmer does stand out nicely on the nail as well as in the bottle. This is going to dry dull, so you will want top coat for that reason, but nothing is going to dry textured and nothing is going to be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Barbie Girl and a glossy top coat. Up next from My Indie Polish, we have Rainbow Dash. This is inspired by My Little Pony, and it's described as a blue to light blue thermal with neon dots of all shapes and sizes. This will retail for $13, and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. So this one does have more of a jelly crilly-ish formula. You are going to want to build this up. I did 3 coats for my swatch photos. These glitters do take some kind of fishing to get out. I still didn't get a ton of them out with my swatches unless I wanted to do a super thick coat, which I was trying to avoid doing. So you are going to want to do some fishing to get them out. Formula is smooth though. I didn't have any kind of running, pooling, or staining. It transitions so easily. It says it goes to a light blue, but as I was hitting it with my blow dryer, I did get it to go to almost a white. You are going to want Topcoat to smooth these glitters out, but as it's not jam-packed with those little glitters, nothing's going to be super difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Rainbow Dash and a glossy Topcoat. Up next from Nailed It, we have A Heart's Heavy Burden. This is inspired by Studio Ghibli and it's described as an indigo base packed with green to blue to purple crystal flakes, green to purple shifting shimmer, and a subtle linear hollow. This will retail for $12.75 and there is no cap. Formula on this is excellent. Not too thick, not too thin, no running, pooling, or staining. These flakes come out easily and they spread out evenly with very minimal manipulation. You also get a ton of these flakes out. I did 2 coats for my swatch photo and was happy with opacity. Depending on your application and your preferences, you might want to go in for 3. This is going to dry dull and slightly textured, so you will want top coat for that reason. This also looks really beautiful with a matte top coat. Nothing in this is going to be super difficult to remove though. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of A Heart's Heavy Burden and a glossy top coat. Up next from Nail Hoot, we have You Remind Me of the Babe. This is inspired by Labyrinth and it's described as a baby blue base packed with a magical scattered hollow pigment that dances and jumps through a powerful golden shimmer. This will retail for $10.99 and there is no cap. So this does remind me a lot of the Femme Fatale one from this month. They are practically the same color. There are differences. The Femme Fatale has the white glitter and then the Nail Hoot has the holographic. They both have a shimmer. It is stronger in the Femme Fatale. So depending on the kind of look you're going for, both of these are viable options and they're both really, really stunning. This does have a smooth formula. Since I didn't have to worry about the glitters in there, I did do 2 coats for full opacity. Nothing in this dried textured. You're not going to have to worry about removal with this one like you would with the Femme Fatale. And nothing is going to be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of You Remind Me of the Babe and a glossy top coat. Next up from Necessary Evil, we have We All Change and That's Okay. This is inspired by Doctor Who and it's described as a purple base with a purple-blue multichrome, scattered hollow, and blue to aqua to green iridescent flakes. This will retail for $12 and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. This is super richly pigmented, a very deep royal purple base, a very smooth, easy to work with formula. I did 3 coats for full opacity. If you're not super picky, you could probably get away with 2. The flakes that are in here stand out really, really beautifully and they kind of flash off the nail because they're such a bright color compared to the darker base. And the shifty shimmer that's in here is beautiful as well. This is going to dry on the dull side. It doesn't dry totally dull, but it is going to require some top coat to kind of give it a full manicured look. And some of these larger flakes can dry with the slightest bit of texture, so that'll help there as well. Nothing in this polish is going to be difficult to remove, so in my swatch photo you're going to see 3 coats of We All Change and That's Okay and a glossy top coat. Up next from Night Owl Lacquer, we have You Made Me Bald. This is inspired by That 70s Show and it's described as a glowy copper filled with copper shimmer and green to copper to blue crystal gleaming flakies. This will retail for $12.50 and there is no cap. This is a super light, dainty, delicate polish, a very smooth, easy to work with formula. It does take 3 coats to build up to opacity. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but it's not difficult to work with whatsoever. You do get a ton of these flakes out. You don't have to do any kind of fishing to get them out. You don't have to do any kind of manipulation to get them to spread out evenly across the nail either. This is going to look really beautiful glossy, this is going to look really beautiful matte, but either way you are going to want a top coat to bring some life back to this as well as to smooth out any of those flakes that might have created a texture, but nothing in this is going to be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo you're going to see 3 coats of You Made Me Bald and a glossy top coat. Up next from my brand Pampered Polishes we have Eat Me. This is inspired by Alice in Wonderland and it's described as a pistachio crelly packed with hollow and an array of ultra chrome chameleon flakies and iridescent flakies. This will retail for $12.50 and there is no cap. I think the formula on this is smooth. I didn't have any kind of running, pooling, or staining. I got a good amount of flakes out. I got a good amount of this hollow out. I think they spread out nice and evenly across the nail. I think this is an easy polish to work with. This is going to dry decently glossy all on its own, and nothing is going to dry super textured because these are all relatively small flakes. So if you had to skip top coat, you could for this one. I would still recommend using a top coat for longevity purposes. Nothing in this is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. I will go ahead and put up a swatch wheel comparison of this and two other of my Hella Handmade Creations shades. I kind of did a slight gradient in this green kind of pistachio shade to a yellow to like more of a platinum-y green. So I will show a comparison of those three. But in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Eat Me and a glossy top coat. Up next from Penelope Loves, we have Andrea. This is inspired by symphonic metal and it's described as a red base with a copper shimmer, holographic glitters in orange and green colors. This will retail for $11.50 and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. This is super pigmented, very rich in the base color. I didn't have any kind of staining with this one. I would still recommend using a base coat for this. I don't swatch with a base coat, but I also don't leave it on super long. So I didn't experience any staining, but you might, so I would recommend using base coat. Formula on this is very smooth. I got it completely opaque in 2 coats. I've also noticed with Penelope Loves so far that these dry really, really quickly. So as soon as I'm done pretty much painting my one hand, I can go ahead and go in for my second coat. You get a ton of this glitter out. You don't have to do any kind of fishing or swirling to get them out, and they do lie relatively evenly across the nail with no manipulation. This is going to dry with some intense texture. You will want a thicker top coat to smooth this out, and it is going to be pretty difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Andrea and a glossy top coat. Up next from Pop Polish, we have Jasmine. This is inspired by heroines and it's described as a teal aqua base with teal metal flakes that shift purple and cobalt, iridescent flakes that shift aqua pink and purple, and lots of gold flakes throughout, and last but not least, holographic flakes. This will retail for $14.50 and there is no cap. This does have a good formula. I did 3 coats to build this up to opacity. You are more so building up the flakes that are in here as opposed to the base color, so that's where most of your coverage is going to come from. Formula is smooth. You are going to want top coat to smooth this out though. It is going to dry with some pretty intense texture. There's a lot of flakes that are in here, so those can create a mad amount of texture given the right situations, and this is the right situation. The metallic flakes that are in here are super strong and bright. It makes a nice reflective manicure, and then in the like indoor kind of settings, you're going to get those ultra chrome chameleon flakes, and it is very beautiful. This also looks gorgeous with a matte top coat. So while this does dry with some texture, I didn't have any kind of difficulty removing this. There's no glitter in here. It does make a mess though. I didn't have anything sticking to my nails per se as far as like glitter goes, but those flakes got positively everywhere. So bear that in mind. This is something that I would probably still recommend using a PLF base coat for. But in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Jasmine and a glossy top coat. Up next from Rogue Lacquer, we have the Abbey. This is inspired by London and it's described as an antique acrylic base packed with copper, bronze, silver, gold, purple, and red ultra chrome chameleon flakies with a scattered hollow. This will retail for $12.50 and there is no cap. One thing we all know Rogue does really well is these flaky polishes. This is no exception. This is so gorgeous, so smooth, buttery formula, built up really beautifully in 3 coats. No issues with running, pooling, or staining. The flakes that are in here are small, so they do spread out easily and evenly across the nail. You don't have to do any kind of manipulation to get them to do so. And they are going to dry smooth, so it's not going to create any kind of texture on your nail. It does dry on the dull side, so you will want top coat for that reason. If you didn't have time for it, I don't think anybody would notice it, but I would still recommend it. So nothing in this is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. In my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of the Abbey and a glossy top coat. Up next from Sassy Pants Polish, we have True Desires. This is inspired by Lucifer and it's described as a turquoise purple duochrome, shifting scattered and linear holographic with holographic blue and violet glitters and an assorted micro flake. This will retail for $12 and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. So this is very smooth and easy to apply. I didn't have any kind of running, pooling, or staining. It's very shifty on the nail. When I first got this bottle, I noticed a lot of glitter in the bottle and I was not thrilled about it. The strong shimmer and the glitters are typically not my favorite thing. But when I put it on and I noticed that it was more of an accent, I got really, really excited. They are the perfect balance in this polish. Very smooth formula. You are going to have some texture from those glitters, so you will want top coat for that reason, and they are going to be a little bit more difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of True Desires and a glossy top coat. Up next from Schlee Polish, we have Skek. This is inspired by the dark crystal and it's described as a tan shade with a red duochrome pigment and copper color shifting shimmers. This will retail for $15 and there is no cap. Formula is very smooth and easy to work with. Schlee has such a nice buttery formula. The shimmer that's in here is very shifty and very strong and very apparent on the nail. Nicely opaque in 2 coats for me. I didn't have any running, pooling, or staining again. This is going to dry on the dull side, so you will want top coat for that reason, but nothing is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Skek and a glossy top coat. Up next from Supernatural Lacquer, we have but it says on the website it's called acetylcholine. This is inspired by neurotransmitters and it's described as a spring green with a mix of superfine purple to blue to red to gold aurora and white particle shimmer, as well as a chromaflare multichrome. This will retail for $12.50 and there's a cap of 75 bottles available. This has a very good formula, very smooth and easy to apply, nice and shifty on the nail. It takes 3 coats to build up to opacity, which isn't surprising because of the shifty elements that are in here, but it is worth the buildup. I think this is one that you could also layer over a darker color to get a different effect. I did have some brush strokes through this when it was wet. Those did completely dissipate as it dries. I didn't have any brush stroking when it was fully dry. Nothing in this is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Ac and a glossy top coat. Up next from Turtle Tootsies, we have Please Don't Leave Me. This is inspired by pink and it's described as a medium purple linear hollow with blue shimmer and blue to purple ultrachrome chameleon flakies. This will retail for $11.50 and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. Per the usual of Turtle Tootsies, this has a very smooth, easy to work with formula, no running, pooling, or staining. It did take 3 coats to build up to opacity and those flakes that are in there stand out really nicely. This is going to dry on the dull side, so you will want top coat for that reason, and some of these flakes can dry with a texture. You will want top coat to smooth everything out, and removal is going to be relatively easy. I did do 3 coats to build this up to opacity. If you're not super picky, you could get away with 2, but in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Please Don't Leave Me and a glossy top coat. Up next from Under A Hula Moon, we have the Wax Melt in the scent Unagi. This is inspired by Friends and it's described as a fragrance of lavender and honey entwined with the sexy, smoky, woodsy notes of Palo Santo. This will retail for $4.50 and there is no cap. This has been one of my favorite scents from Under A Hula Moon to melt so far. It's got kind of that manly-esque scent that I really, really enjoy. It's got a clean undernote to it, which I think comes from the lavender. Very, very nice scent. It's got a good throw. I melt it in here. I can smell it through the living room, and it does last a long time. So that is the Under A Hula Moon Wax Melt in the scent Unagi. And lastly for today, from Vanessa Molina, we have the Pale Man. This is inspired by Fawn's Labyrinth, and it's described as a white jelly base with ultrachrome chameleon flakes, holographic pigment, and pink shimmers. This will retail for $11, and there's a cap of 100 bottles available. This has a very smooth formula. It took 3 coats to build up to opacity. I didn't have any kind of running, pooling, or staining. you're building up more so those flakes than the base color, where as opposed to the Rogue Lacquer, which is very similar this month in idea, the Rogue Lacquer has more of a tinted base to it, and the Vanessa Molina, you're building up those flakes. The shimmer that's in here is nice and strong. It stands out beautifully on the nail. This is going to look really gorgeous with a matte top coat. These flakes spread out nice and evenly. You don't have to do any kind of manipulation to get them to do so. This is going to dry on the dull side, so whether you use a matte or glossy top coat, you are going to need one or the other. Nothing in this is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove, so in my swatch photo you're going to see 3 coats of the Pale Man and a glossy top coat. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys plan on picking up from this month's Hella Handmade Creations. Let me know what your favorite was from the offerings that I had to share with you today. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.